It's the full moon in Virgo, and it's getting a trine from Pluto, and this increases intensity and your sensitivity. At the same time, Venus is still traveling with Mars, and they're about to make a square to Uranus. This can be a sudden breakthrough, and we're going to talk about it. Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, here to talk to you about the full moon at 27 degrees of Virgo. This is on March 17th for some of you, and for some of you it will be on March 18th, so check your calendars to see which it is. We're going to do a quick overview of the energies, and then we'll go sign by sign. And just to let you know, I'm doing tropical Western astrology. This is predictions for the next 2 weeks, and it is best if you listen to your rising sign or your ascending sign as well as your sun sign. The rising sign is going to give you the most accurate predictions, and then your sun sign is going to tell you more about the internal process that you're going through. Now, I just wanted to let you know that I do readings. I've written a lot of books, some of which are on Amazon, some have links in the description box below, and I have a couple of courses out there, so check those out. Also, I am pulling together some information for teaching some classes. I know some of you have already let me know that you're interested. That's fantastic. I'll be sending out that information very soon, so if you do want to take a class in astrology with me or in tarot, let me know. And I should have mentioned, if you need a copy of your chart because you want to find out your ascendant, just send me your birth information and I'll send you a copy. Okay, so let's take a look at this chart, because we have lots of interesting energies that are on approach, but not actually here yet. And so it's kind of like when you see like an airplane circling, but it hasn't landed yet, or you can see the train in the distance, but it hasn't reached the station. So there's only so much you can do. You know, you can prepare for things, you can, make sure that you have your tickets and your luggage and things like that, but you can't get on the train yet, you can't get on the plane yet. So the energies that are approaching is that Saturn will be making a square to the North Node and South Node. That is on April 11th. And then Jupiter is going to conjunct Neptune, and that is on April 12th. And of course, we'll be talking about these energies in detail as we get closer. So what we are going to focus on is this is the full moon in Virgo, and it's making a trine to Pluto. And that means that your powers of observation and focus are enhanced, that you are more able to do analytical research, to really dig deep and see what your progress has been on your projects, how you're doing in the general metrics of things, or if you're working on your taxes, this is great energy. Now, of course, Virgo is not the easiest of signs, and so there is the danger of taking this very intensified Virgo energy and using it in a negative fashion on yourself. And this is what I wanted to warn you about, because you can get overly critical with yourself, and that's not motivating, it's not helpful. So as you are looking at the data and looking at your past, use that as a guide for moving forward and how you can improve things, rather than taking yourself to task or beating yourself up. Because if you can approach yourself with compassion and understanding, you're going to feel far more motivated to do better in the future. At the same time, this Virgo moon trine Pluto is excellent for discipline. And that means not to be disciplined, but to have discipline. And that is if you're trying to give up sugar or get up earlier or exercise every day, or maybe you're writing every day or doing art every day, or something where you are incorporating a habit and getting better over time. This energy is really great for working on that. Now, Venus is in a wide conjunction with Mars, so kind of picture like two planets holding hands, and they're stretched just as far as the hands can touch. But they are still traveling together, and so there is that combination of desire with action, and they are both approaching a square to Uranus. Now, Uranus is kind of like having a hand grenade, you don't know when it's going to go off, and so that is the sudden excitement, the sudden enthusiasm that you can get into, and that can be for a love relationship or a creative project, or that you just get super excited about a TV show, a video game, a new outfit, or something like that. So there's this sudden complete and utter interest in that thing. And so if you're already susceptible to that shiny object syndrome that a lot of us can get caught up in, be aware of this energy, because it can take you in a direction pretty far before you notice what's happening. Now, on the positive, of course, you can fall in love. You can really have a creative breakthrough with this. You can do some amazing work, like genius level work with this combination. And then one more little caveat about it, because it likes to take risks. When we have this combination, if you're already a little accident prone, you do need to be a little extra careful. And I don't know which sign that's going to be because I don't have your chart in front of me. So just recognize that if you already have a very strong Uranus, maybe it's connected to your ascendant or your sun, this is a time where you might want to not take big risks. So if you've been planning something that's rather daring, you're launching your parkour career, or you're going to jump off a building in one of those little flying squirrel outfits, just perhaps wait until this aspect is passed. And then I want to remind you that there are no retrograde planets till April 29th, and that means that the energy is moving forward without interruption. This is really good if you are doing something like refinancing your mortgage or trying to buy a car, so you have less restrictions. You don't have to worry about the energy shifts so much at this time. Okay, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of health, well-being, also daily routines, and your job in relation to how you do it on a daily basis, or your interaction with coworkers. So, and this is making a trine to Pluto. So starting with that, you may be very focused on what your coworkers are doing or not doing. And so you might be feeling like you're being criticized, or that you need to make some corrections in what others are doing. And because this is a trine to Pluto, it can feel extremely intense on both sides. Maybe that you need to give them this information and they may receive it in a very intense manner. Also, do be aware that because this energy is so highly sensitive, that you might be more irritated by things that in normal circumstances you weren't so much. So be aware that it's okay to take a breath and try to let this energy pass if you don't feel like this is, if the information's not going to go over well. Now, when it comes to your health and well-being, you have some opportunities to find some data that can really help you, but also, again, with that high sensitivity, be aware that if you normally have symptoms or things, they can flare up at this time. That doesn't mean that something permanent is happening. This is a positive aspect, so it might be the thing that leads you to the right doctor or the right treatment. So I do see some positive things happening around your health, especially if you're starting a new exercise program or you have a new personal trainer or things like that. This is also good for daily routine. This moon is going to approach that trine, and so that does talk about a transformation of your routine. So if you have a sudden desire to get up really early, or to change your diet in some way, I say that because I'm not an advocate of getting up early, but I know a lot of successful people really swear by it. It's just never been my thing. I still can be highly productive without it, and I know you can too. So if it's not your thing, you don't have to do it. But it is quite important, though, to find your routine, find something that works for you, that brings the results you want, and this is the energy that can support that. So now when it comes to that Venus-Mars conjunction square Uranus, kind of think of the Uranus as the handle and the Venus-Mars is the thing you're wanting to change. So in this case, with Uranus in the second, this would be changing attitudes about money for that Venus-Mars up in your house of the future. So changing your attitudes about money shifts your future. And so maybe that is that you told yourself the story that you don't handle money well, and you can just change that story and then behaviors will follow. Or perhaps you have been taking a very conservative outlook and you want to do things that are more aggressive, or vice versa. So you might be reassessing your risk tolerance as you go forward. But this is a change of attitudes about money and possessions, makes the change, the bigger change in your life, what you want it to be. Now, when it comes to relationships, there is no aspect going on between the Sun and Mars. However, we do have a very nice 11th house. So there's friendships happening and connections happening, but these may not solidify into a romantic relationship. And this is all during this time of this kind of, excitement energy. And so you might find someone that you're very, very interested in, but this is not yet coming together. So you may have to play it cool for this 2 weeks. On the other hand, you do have some very strong energy happening with your existing love relationship, and that is if you're already in a committed relationship, you're doing that Venus conjunct Mars. They are moving to square Uranus, so something between the two of you is either changing, or the two of you together have to change something. And that is, again, that Uranus is going through your second house of money. That would be change something about how you handle money as a couple. Otherwise, this volatile energy could bring a fight between the two of you. And my concern is because the Venus and Mars are stretching apart, this could be an argument that pulls you apart too much. So while these two are still together, you have the opportunity to really talk this through, to connect on a deeper level. And this is, of course, around money and possessions. So have that conversation, be kind to each other, and you can strengthen your relationship. When it comes to home and family, the moon's not making an aspect with Mars. And so there is this energy of you're out in the world and you're not at home much. And so this might be that you are traveling or seeing friends, or you're out in groups because you can be now. And so you are not spending so much time at home. This can also mean that when you're at home, nobody else is at home because everybody's scattered to the four winds. When it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Venus, which is conjunct the Mars, so high activity, and moving to make that square to Uranus. So I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but there is this energy of shifting your attitudes about money. Now, this is making a connection to your career as well, and so we'll talk about that in a second. But mostly this is the universe really kind of overemphasizing. The universe is overemphasizing that a change in your attitude about how you handle money is perfect right now. So if you've been thinking about that, maybe reading books on finance or talking to people who are really good at that sort of thing, this can be that time where you make that pivot and really changes your future. When it comes to traditional investments or things done in a traditional manner, like a buy and hold, or your own business or a family business, while Venus is not making an aspect to Pluto, it is making an aspect to that co-ruler Mars. So you do have some good prospects. I think most of the energy is still around money derived from career. And so if you have your own business, that's more of you like donning on the work shirt and working side by side with the employees, really getting down into the nitty-gritty of things rather than being, say, an absentee owner. I think this puts a little pressure on passive income sources. You might not see the bigger returns this time, again, because this is more hands-on is what brings the money. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, that you have a lot of interesting energy here. You've got Mars, Venus, and Saturn in that house. The Venus and Mars, of course, are going to make a square to the Uranus. The ruler of your money house is in this house. The ruler of your money derived from career house is in your money house. So, everything is connected. So if there was ever a time for you to ask for a raise, for you to get a promotion, for you to get more money, even negotiating for a better job, this is it. Everything is lined up. And in fact, this is the time to do it because this energy is already dissipating. And so you want to jump in there sooner rather than later. I think you'll have this 2 weeks, but after this 2-week period, I don't know if it's going to be that strong. So really consider, if you get a hard no from the job that you're at, that's a clear sign from the universe that you need to be looking elsewhere. And if you get a yes, maybe, then keep pushing, because with this energy, you can get a breakthrough. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that are highly leveraged or time sensitive or take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, Venus is making a semi-square to the Sun. Now, this is not the most comfortable aspect, but it is still an aspect. So now the Sun's a bit hidden for you. And so what I think this all adds up to is there's something that's hard. There's a hurdle to go through I guess you don't go through a hurdle, you have to go over a hurdle and to get to your goal. And so maybe this is talking to someone that you don't necessarily want to talk to, or you're having trouble getting a hold of. Maybe this is a very complex operation that you have to unravel. Maybe this is just that you have to put more of your time and energy or finances on the line to make this happen. So do be extra careful. This, while it is an aspect and it shows that there's a potential for success, it's not an easy aspect. So this is going to take extraordinary effort to make it happen. So you may want to wait until this energy lines up in an easier fashion. Okay, Taurus, you guys are doing this Virgo moon in your house of romance, adventure, and risky investments. And so this is the area where you could fall head over heels in love with someone or some venture. And so you do want to make sure that you are doing your analysis. Now, of course, the Virgo moon lends itself towards analysis. And so get all the paperwork you can, get the prospectus. And, if it's love, looking at this person, this situation, saying to yourself, are you free for a relationship? Are they free for a relationship? Are you seeing signs on their side that they're interested? So looking at this in a very objective fashion can help you. And I know that when you're doing a trine to Pluto, objective is hard because the sensitivity to the energies is so strong. But that's what you want to watch out for, because while you are seeing lots and lots of the details, you can fixate on the details that support your goal rather than looking at the whole. So when it comes to the Venus conjunct Mars, making a square to Uranus, Uranus is kind of the lever of this, like the handle of this. And then the Venus Mars points to what you want to change. So you change one area and that change appears in the other area. And so Uranus is in your own sign of Taurus. And so this is changing something about you, how you see yourself, what your story is, maybe changing your look in some way. And what the results are a change in how others see you, also a possible change in your career. So this might be that you maybe you're showing up to the job instead of working from home. Maybe this is that you are stepping up your wardrobe, so how people see you. Maybe you're putting out things on social media, so you are more seen that way. So, but a change of you makes a change that is noticeable to the world. Now, when it comes to relationships, especially new love, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Mercury. And so that is that there's something that's a little bit off in the pursuing of love relationships. Like maybe you meet someone and they're like 90% perfect, 80% perfect, but there's something, that you consider not a deal breaker, but you just wish wasn't there. And maybe this is something about their location or what they do or how they laugh or something like that. So there's something that just feels a little bit off. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't get over that hurdle, but because you're doing this other energy about falling in love, it's possible that this person's very much in love with you and you're looking at someone else, and that's the irritation here. So the energies aren't exactly lining up. So don't be impatient this week or the next 2 weeks. If possible, allow the energies to just kind of marinate a little bit and see where you are in a couple weeks, because there's an aspect, but it's not the best of aspects. Now, when it comes to your existing love relationships, Venus is not making an aspect to Pluto. However, it is making an aspect to that co-ruler Mars. In fact, it's a conjunction. Now, it's a separating conjunction. It is getting weaker. And so that is something to be aware of, because this conjunction is squaring Mars. So that means that the two of you might have been in agreement on some very important things, but now you're seeing some cracks in the foundation. And so it's very important that you be a united front, that you actively stay holding hands together and approach things in this sense where, well, as I said, that you're united, so that something doesn't come and divide the two of you so that you are on opposing sides. So this is something where you can strengthen the relationship by finding what is common about what you believe rather than highlighting the differences. When it comes to home and family, Venus is making a semi-sextile to the sun, which again is that somewhat irritating aspect. And it's interesting because there's hardly any planets below the horizon. There's hardly any things happening behind the scenes. So this is more that maybe you're just out and about, so you're not home very much. But it's almost like you're two ships passing in the night. Like you want to see your family, but when you get home, they're not there. And when they want to see you, you're not at home. So, but it's still an aspect. So I think that maybe you're coming together, but you have to remember to come together in this place of love and acceptance, because with this aspect, it's very easy to nitpick and be critical of, I was gone and you didn't do the dishes, or, you were 10 minutes late and that sort of thing. So you want to try to approach everything with the family with love and compassion. When it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mercury in your house of money derived from career, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second. But this is a really good sign because your money planet is in a money house. Now, we haven't talked too much about Mercury. It is just past that sextile to Uranus. So it's almost like something has already occurred and you're working on it. And so this is, you're still maybe collecting data, you are still testing out different theories that you have, or you've put out some materials and you're waiting for a response from the outside world. So I like this energy for you. I especially like that it's in a money house that helps you focus. Now, when it comes to money from your traditional investments or investments done in a traditional manner like dollar cost averaging, or money from your own business, you have great energy because Mercury is making a conjunction to Jupiter. Now, it's super interesting to me that your money planet and your traditional investment or passive income planet are both conjunct in your area of money derived from career. So it's almost like you have to get in there and really work on the business, even your passive income business. So, and which I know doesn't make it that passive, but that's where the money is, where you actually work on the business, maybe expanding your affiliate links or expanding your network marketing team, or you are expanding your company. So looking at that is the way you're going to make more money, is if you don on the work shirt and work side by side with the employees. So when it comes to money derived from career, while Mercury is not actually making a aspect to Neptune, it's on its way. I mean, it's just not quite there yet. It's in the same sign, it's in the same house, and in that house you have Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune, and Sun. That is huge. So this is an excellent time to ask for a raise. You're likely to get you're going to get one. It's not quite yet. It's outside the 2-week period. Maybe it is even a month or two away. But you are going to get some sort of positive energy if you ask for a raise, ask for a promotion, or are looking for another job. In fact, your looking for another job energy is extraordinary right now. So if you've been thinking about getting another job, now's the time to blanket the earth with your resume, because you can get something that is so far above what you have now that you'll wonder why you didn't do this before. And you didn't, because the aspects weren't lined up. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or they're highly leveraged or time sensitive, those types of investments are, we're looking at the Mercury, which is conjunct the Jupiter, which is going to conjunct the Neptune, which is going to pull together all of your money houses. So this is a time where, even though it's not quite yet, we still have a little space before your payday is happening. There's still some super opportunities here to move this forward. So if you've been looking at buying a business or investigating certain investments, always be careful, especially with risky investments. I mean, that's why they're called risky investments. However, you do see more progress coming in the future, even during this 2-week period. Okay, Gemini, you guys are doing this Virgo moon in your house of home and family and dwellings, and it's making that trine to Pluto in your house of resources. And so this is where you may fall in hopelessly in love, perhaps with a house or a lifestyle idea. It's also possible that you're extremely focused on gaining funding or resources to secure a dwelling, or maybe you're looking for a new apartment, and so you're dealing with leases and contracts. And it's also possible that you're doing some sort of renovations in the house, and so you're looking for resources for that. And the Virgo moon, of course, is very particular, so you're looking at every single, like paint color or nail or doorknob to make sure that everything's perfect. So quite an intense time. Now, when we look at the Mars conjunct Venus square Uranus, we look at this as Uranus is like the handle of this lever or lever. I guess it's more of a lever than a lever. So the handle is what you push or turn, and then the Mars Venus is what happens. And so everything that you're looking for in the way of help from the universe, help from others, resources or opportunities to travel and things like that, comes from spiritual work that you're doing. And that is doing in private. So that is working on your shadow self, exploring the inner you, exploring your psychic ability, maybe looking at studying the tarot or palmistry or looking at the pendulum, but looking at different methods. I should also include meditation, journaling, affirmations, visualization, doing a goal board. Any of those spiritual things are what move the lever towards the things that you want. And that would be your goals and opportunities, especially around education, travel, but also that inner philosophy, feeling better about being in the universe. Now, when it comes to relationships, especially new love, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Mercury, which is still an aspect, but it's just not the easiest of aspects. It says it's something slightly outside your comfort zone when it comes to love relationships, and so that might mean that you need to ask the person, and you're not sure if you're going to get a yes or a no, or perhaps you're not completely out of a relationship, but you're interested in someone, and so you're wondering about the timing and things like that. But it's almost lighter than that. It's almost more like, you just have to text the person and you're not sure what to say to them, but when you say it, then some positive things happen. On the other hand, when it comes to your existing love relationship, then the energy is quite good because Mercury is making an approach to that conjunction to Jupiter. So you guys are getting closer together. You're finding more in common philosophically, emotionally, spiritually, and even practically. And so this means that you are more like one mind, maybe even finishing each other's sentences. Perhaps you are getting ready to move this relationship to the next level. And that could be, like an engagement or talking about moving in together. So I see you guys getting closer at this time and maybe even making a big announcement to friends and family because this energy is so elevated and so public. You also have good energy when it comes to home and family. This is that Mercury still making those wonderful aspects to the Jupiter and then the Neptune. It's already past that sextile to Uranus for changes. So maybe the things like the renovations, you see light at the end of the tunnel. Family seems to be coming together from different locations, or you're traveling to a location to see family members. So you seem to be coming together in more harmony in your family. When it comes to your money, you are pulling money in from that moon, which is sitting in that house of home and dwellings. And so some of that is just sitting at home and working out the numbers because remember, it's pulling energy from that Pluto in your house of resources. So maybe that's going through your credit card statements and seeing if you can get lower interest rates or consolidate debt, talking to the student loan people about what's going on with those. Or it is looking at your investments really with an eye of figuring out how you can get more of your money to work for you. So I do see that as opportunities. Of course, with the moon in the fourth house, you might be interested in real estate at this time and wondering whether that's a good buy. You know, that's completely, of course, depends on your chart and your area, but that this is something where you might be extremely focused at this time. But I do see you thinking about money and working on money at home quite a bit at this time. Now, when it comes to traditional investments, and these are things maybe done in a traditional manner, like a buy and hold, or your own business or a family business, the moon is making an inconjunct to Saturn, which means that you can make more money if you do some part of it that you don't really enjoy. And so maybe that's more back office stuff. Maybe you're having to do more sales. Maybe you're having to do stuff that you actually hired somebody else to do and they didn't do it well enough and you need to redo it because this Virgo moon is very particular. So maybe you weren't happy with the results. I'll tell you now, I've already filmed this video twice because I wasn't happy with the results. And so just the energy of talking about the Virgo moon can do that. So this is what you're doing when it comes to your traditional investments, is really looking things over, but maybe having to read the prospectuses, maybe having to look at the contracts your business has. So you're doing the stuff you don't normally like to do, and that's what moves you forward towards actual real profits. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, while you have a great career house right now, which could lead to a promotion, it is more difficult for you to actually make extra money because the moon is not making an aspect with Mars and you only have Chiron in the house. Now, this is going to change pretty quickly. I would say by the next time that we talk, we will have some better energy to talk about for you. But right now, it's really easy for you to get a new job, but not so easy for you to get more money. You'll have to negotiate hard to get anything from your current job or from a new job. I think it's still worth negotiating, and just try to draw the negotiations out outside this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that are highly leveraged, are time sensitive, or take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, the moon is making a sesquiquadrant with Venus. Now, a sesquiquadrant is a tough aspect. It is a combination of like a semi-square, which is a bumpy aspect, and a square, which is almost a pugilistic aspect, and we put these two together. And so it's kind of like having to do something like I always picture like somebody throwing a dart really far and trying to hit a bullseye. And so when it works, like the whole place is cheering and everything's great, but it's so hard to make that shot. And so that's the energy that you're doing. It's still an aspect, and an aspect means there is potential. If there's no aspect, there's no way for the money out there to get to your account. But this has an aspect. It's just a really challenging one. So do be careful, because we're talking about risky investments and they are inherently risky. And so you're adding the extra risk of having to do it really correctly. So of course, I would recommend being very cautious or waiting until you get better aspects. Okay, Cancer, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of communication, and it's right at the base of your chart, which may mean that you need to release something into the world. And so that might mean that you are releasing your words into the world, or that you're letting go of something such as returning a contract or agreement. Now, this is making a trine to Pluto in your house of relationships. And so there is definitely somebody else involved, or maybe many people. So this is you putting out communication and finding the right words to do something. And so it's possible too that your audience is waiting, but you're afraid the audience could be critical, or the person you're going to say this to may not want to hear what you have to say. And so you might be weighing how to say it. Now, from the other side of this, you might be getting quite obsessed about communication you have received from someone. So perhaps you are in a love relationship, and so words are going back and forth, and maybe you're getting hints that the relationship is getting more serious, or you're worried about how somebody is taking something you've said, or how you're taking something they have said. So this is where your obsession can be, where you are super focused. Now, because it's a Virgo moon, you're going to overanalyze things. And so maybe you're looking at their body language, or, did they wink, or did they blink, that sort of thing. So do be careful to look at things in a very objective fashion, giving yourself the benefit of the doubt and looking for an optimistic outcome, because that will help you achieve the goal you want. Now, when we look at that Venus-Mars making a square to Uranus, if we think of the Uranus as the lever, and that's what you push or pull, and then the Venus-Mars as what actually happens, what the change is, then this says change who you're hanging out with, change your community, and what changes for you in your life are your resources or the benefits that you're receiving from others. And so this is all back to that idea that you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. And so if you are not happy with what you're receiving in life, you shift at this time the people you're spending so much time with. So just spend time with other people, different people, and you will get different results. And this is specifically in the areas of money, but also intimacy, where you can feel close to someone, where you feel true friendship. And so that's where your lever for change is. Now, when it comes to relationships, specifically new love, the moon is making a trine to Pluto, and Pluto is in your house of relationships. You have a full house of sex and intimacy, so this is a really good time to find somebody new. And that means put yourself out there through social media, ask your friends to fix you up, go to online dating sites, because you can really make a connection. And this obsession idea works both ways. So you could find someone who gets quite obsessed with you, which may be the thing that you need to, it's just nice to be chased sometimes. Now, when it comes to existing relationships, the moon is making an aspect to Saturn. Unfortunately, it's an inconjunct, which means that the two of you have to make some adjustments. And because we're talking about your chart, that would probably be you. That if you make an adjustment, then things get happier and closer. And this might be adjusting your schedule, adjusting, how you're saying something, what you're requesting, how you're communicating. So, but the issue here is that you're kind of missing each other. You're talking about what to have for dinner, and they're talking about baseball or something like that. Like it just doesn't mesh. And so that's where adjustments have to happen. Now, when it comes to home and family, the moon is making a sesquiquadrate with Venus. I know that's a mouthful, isn't it? And Venus is in your house of resources. So there is an opportunity to gather the family together to pool resources, but it's a long shot. Now, it is an aspect, so we do love to see an aspect, but it's, it's kind of akin to like shooting an arrow really far and trying to hit a bullseye. So it's something where it takes great concentration. You really need to focus, and you're going to feel a lot of, like there's shifting winds, and so that's going to throw the arrow in different directions. So there's a little bit of luck involved. However, if you have been working on something together as a family, this is the time to take that shot. Otherwise, you want to wait until this aspect lines up better. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from the sun right at the top of your chart, which means you're very visible at this time. It's possible that you are putting out something on social media or marketing your business. You might be marketing yourself through your resume. And this gives you this opportunity to be seen. So this is energy you really want to take. Now, we've been focused on the moon trine Pluto, but the sun is making a sextile to Pluto, and that Pluto is in your house of partnerships and connections. And so this is a time to reach out to people that you have known in the past, former colleagues, business partners, etc., because you can get something going again. Or look through, scroll through your messages and see if there was a message from someone that you missed before, because now there's an opportunity to connect. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or investments done in a traditional manner, like buy and hold, or money from your own business, you have a great house because you have Mars, Venus, and Saturn in that house. So lots of different opportunities to make money. Plus, the sun is making a semi-square. I had to check, semi-square to Uranus. And so while it's not the easiest of aspects, in fact, it's rather irritating. You receive a lot of friction when you're trying to do something. You can accomplish something because it just means that somebody out there who maybe owes you money says, oh, we want you to submit another invoice before you get the money or jump through some other hoops. And the same thing with investments. Maybe you're trying to invest in, in some alt currency, but you have to, establish a brokerage account that trades in that currency, and then you have to get a wallet, and you have to do extra steps. And so if you're willing to do the steps, you do have opportunities to make more money over the next 2 weeks, or just wait until this aspect lines up better in the future. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, the sun is making a semi-square with Venus. Now, Venus is in a money house. Love that. And the sun is very elevated, so that is a chance. But the semi-square is that difficult, friction-laden aspect. So again, everybody seems to be pushing back on you a little bit. They're saying no, but it's not a hard no. It's a no, but if you do this and this and this, then we'll say yes sort of thing. So that might mean that you are looking for a new job and they are offering you more money, but it's somehow vested, or there's some sort of time lock on it, so you don't get it right away. It's also possible this is happening in your current job, where they're saying, yes, we're definitely going to promote you, but it's 3 months out, or there's something where there's a hurdle, like maybe you have to take a class or a certification, or there's as I said, a hurdle to jump. Now, finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that are done in a risky manner, I should define that. That's highly leveraged or time sensitive, or something that takes a lot of time, energy, or money to get going. The sun's making a sextile to Pluto, and that's actually the best aspect of all your money houses. So there is more opportunity here. It's also interesting that Pluto is still in your house of relationships, which it will be actually for a couple of years. So I didn't think that's so interesting, but I should point it out. And so that means that somebody has the information that you need to get this thing going or to get it profitable. And that's what you need to do, is search this out. If you ask, you receive. That's a sextile. You knock on the door and it does open. But you have to take the initial action. You can't just wait for it to happen. This is something where if you initiate, something good follows. Okay, Leo, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of money, and it is also your house of self-worth and sense of deserving. And because it's in Virgo, it can be a challenge because it feels like you are being very hard on yourself, maybe, criticizing yourself, thinking that that's going to help you move forward, thinking that's going to make you more disciplined. And that's a tough combination. I mean, because it's really belief in yourself and a sense of deserving that brings in the opportunities that you're looking for. Because if you have a belief in yourself, then you will strive for more. You will raise your standards. Now, at the same time, of course, this moon is making that trine to Pluto in your house of routines. So you see where I'm going with this. So this is about finding ways to be more disciplined and congratulating yourself when you accomplish something rather than tearing yourself down when you don't. And this is what directly leads to more prosperity for you. And so over this next 2 weeks, it's time to establish some new habits and things that can really move you forward. I've been listening to some Tom Bayou's, his podcasts or videos on discipline and how he has all these tips on moving forward. I'll put a link to my favorite of his videos in the description. Now, when we consider the Venus and Mars making that square to Uranus, Uranus is like the lever, the handle that you move, and then the position of Venus and Mars is what changes. And so because that Uranus is up in the 10th house, it is, if you change your standards, if you change the level at which you're doing things, if you raise the octave, then you meet higher quality people who could then help you towards your goals. And that is, you can find mentors and influencers and people who have power, who can open doors for you. But it starts with you. It's taking everything you're doing in your life and raising that up, making that something that you respect, that you really look up to, and really moving towards that higher goal, that higher octave. And that's what just magnetically attracts those people. I lost that word, but I got it back. I'm okay. Okay, when it comes to relationships, specifically love relationships, or I should say new love, the sun is not making an aspect with Jupiter. However, you have an excellent house of relationships, and your house of intimacy is really strong too. So this is more of having to work through timing issues. So you can meet somebody, but perhaps they are just not, coming together with you because they're traveling or you're traveling, or your schedules are just not lining up, but you can meet and then later get together. So this is more talking by text or talking by phone or Zoom or something. So go out and meet somebody, but be patient, because the actual connection with this person may come outside this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, this is very, very strong because you have Mars, Venus, Saturn in that house, and the sun is making a semi-square with Uranus. That is an aspect that is about friction and about trying to get over a hurdle and really focusing on a goal. And so this is the two of you trying to come together on something that maybe is a little contentious. Now, the Venus, Mars are in that house, and remember I said they're kind of separating. You're still touching, you're still holding hands at the moment, but it's getting weaker. And so you have this opportunity to pull yourselves together, but it's going to take some work. And since this is your chart, this is the work that you have to do. And so maybe that means you have to compromise for them, or you have to, take a step at least in their direction. And then you're going to feel that your connection is much stronger. So if you feel some sort of argument coming on, stop for a moment and ask yourself why you're feeling the friction, why, if you're feeling like you're insignificant, if you're feeling disrespected, what are you feeling? And push that aside for the moment and try to be in their shoes so that you can strengthen this relationship rather than creating, a brittle point between the two of you. Now, when it comes to home and family, you have some great energy. The sun is making a sextile to Pluto, one of the best aspects that we're having during this talk this time. Pluto's in your house of daily routines and taking care of the house, while the sun is in the area of resources. So it could be the families coming together to pool resources to help out, maybe in a renovation project, maybe to buy a house. You can also get others to help you at this time. So refinancing the house could be good, getting it appraised, looking for something new to buy. So you have a lot of good energy in this area, especially if you are pooling the family resources for investments. That can also be very good at this time. When it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mercury in a money house. So that is really good. It means you're very focused on money, and you should be, because you have some great money opportunities coming up. So this is a time to be looking at your finances, how you talk to yourself about your finances, how you do your spreadsheets, and, with that moon in Virgo in that house, doing the analysis, doing your taxes, looking at your investments, looking at the fees you're paying and the interest you're paying, etc. So this Mercury is in your house of traditional investments. We'll talk about that in a second, but it mostly means that where the money is, you can see it, you can see opportunities, and you can start to call that money to you. And so the best thing with Mercury is to ask for many different sources, not just one. So focus on different sources of money, and you will start to see some results. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or investments done in a traditional manner, such as a dollar cost averaging or your own business or a family business, while Mercury is not making an aspect to Neptune, it will. And so Mercury is winging its way towards that conjunction. And so they are in the same sign, they're in the same house, and Jupiter is sitting between them, and Jupiter brings luck and expansion. So even though you may not get profits in this 2-week period, it is going to line up very soon, and so you will have some opportunities. So you should be looking at where you can take profits, how you can expand your business, because you have Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune, and the sun in that house. So this is a time to capitalize on that. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, it is that Mercury, again, conjunct the Jupiter in a money house. So this says that maybe these things are more like perks right now, and that is discounted stock, 401k match, or some other benefits you get from working for your company. Maybe this is you working on your taxes and finding the deductions because you have a business. So those are sources of money, but you can still, with this good energy, ask for a raise or a promotion and get some really positive feedback, like a yes from somebody, so which is very positive feedback. so you can achieve something in your company working for somebody else, and that translates into more money over this next 2-week period. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or they are time sensitive or highly leveraged, the Mercury's making a conjunction to Jupiter in a money house. So while I do want you to be cautious because risky investments are risky, you should not use money that you can't afford to lose. This is some of the best energy you're going to get for a while about this. So if you've been thinking about doing this and you have all of your little ducks in a row, then this is where you're going to find that something works, something comes together. So if you're buying a business, if you're launching your podcast, if you are, uploading your novel, something you've been working on for a while, this is the time to do it. Okay, Virgo, this is your full moon. It is in your house of physical self. It rules your confidence and how you're presenting out into the world, and it's making that trine to Pluto in your house of risky investments, which we'll talk about in a moment, as well as romance and adventure. So I should also say creativity. And we never talk about kids on this channel, but it also is your area of kids and fertility. So if you're interested in that, you're doing a trine right now. So this is this energy of being really focused and intensely aware of all of the details involved in creative projects, risky investments, as well as whatever adventure you want to have in life. Now, this is the thing to remember, because sometimes as that Virgo energy manifests in your life, you can start to feel that you get bogged down in the details, so much of the analysis paralysis that happens. And this, though, is that ability to see that there's a trine to Pluto that can bore through that and get to that final answer of whether to move forward, whether to change directions, and it shows you the progress that you're making. So some of this is just looking at how far you have come and seeing that you are actually, heading up that hill towards your goal. So this is also, though, to recognize that occasionally taking risks is very beneficial. It is stepping outside so that you can grow, not so much looking from a fixed mindset of, I don't want to test myself, but more a growth mindset to say, I do want to test myself to see if I have learned this, if I need more learning. So when it comes to like creative projects, like put something out in the world and see what happens, or maybe you're still at the point of you haven't even opened the document to start writing the book. Start writing, start painting, start drawing, start singing, do the creative projects. And this also may be connected to risky investments, and we'll talk about more in detail in a second, but that is just looking at it. If you're afraid to look at it, afraid to even think about buying a business or a franchise or something like that, consider that it's time to at least look at it. Now, when it comes to the Venus-Mars making a square to Uranus, think of this as like a lever. So the Uranus part is the handle where you push or pull this, you make a change, and then the results happen in that Venus-Mars area, that area that you want. Kind of like one of those big shovel truck things. Gosh, I have no idea what the words are. But I'm sure it's big, it's yellow. Yeah, I can't think of what it's called. Anyway, this Uranus is in your house of education as well as spirituality. So some of this is about belief in yourself. Believing in yourself changes your life on a daily or granular basis. So, but it also is if you shift the education that you have, and that is, if there's something you don't know, like YouTube is an amazing resource. There is probably 1 million videos on the thing you want to learn by, very generous, very thoughtful people who have told you how to do stuff. So this is where you could find that you have unlimited resources when it comes to learning things, and that shifts your daily life, whether that is changing your health, fixing your garage door, learning a skill that you can make money at, any of these things, even learning about relationships and communication. All of this is available to you, so you pull that handle of education, and then your life changes. Now, when it comes to relationships, and this is specifically new relationships, you have a very strong house of relationships, but Mercury is not making an aspect with Saturn. And so what's happening is there's a little bit of a disconnect. And that can mean that you meet somebody, but you have no ability to get together. They're in another time zone, they're on another continent, and so you send out messages, you're very interested in this person, and you're just getting like dead air. And it's the same thing on their side too. Somebody may be reaching out to you, and perhaps you're thinking, this is not a match, I'm not even going to answer. So when it comes to new relationships, the energy's not lining up on timing. So someone may try to put you together, but it would be better to meet outside this 2-week period. Now, the energy is different when it comes to existing love relationships. And so even if you're dating, even if you have met just once, now what we have is Mercury moving to conjunct that Neptune. Now, it's not in orb at the moment. However, they are in the same sign, they're in the same house, and Mercury moves lickety-split. So therefore, what's happening is you are getting closer and closer to that connection. So we have some good energy here. If you're in an established relationship, you're getting closer, you're seeing eye to eye on some important topics, you are speaking with one mind, you're in a united front, and while it's still on approach, it is getting stronger by the day. Now, when it comes to home and family, you're doing some great energy, especially for harmony with family members, because Mercury is making a conjunction to Jupiter in your house of relationships. And so you might be coming together with family members. Maybe there is a big celebration that you're doing. You are connecting with people. Maybe you haven't seen them in a while, because of COVID and all of that. Now you can finally come together and see each other or see their whole faces. So this is very good energy for home and family. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Venus in your house of work, which is still conjunct that Mars. And so there is a great deal of focus for you on taking action and getting what you want. Now, the interesting thing about this direction is that the action comes first because Mars is now behind the Venus. And so you have to do something, and then you discover that you like it. And this is something that I run into people all the time. They have a million things that they're interested in doing, but they don't know what they're going to love doing. And the truth is that oftentimes you fall in love with something when you really know how to do it, when you've done it a million times, when you're super good at it. And so this is that reminder to practice things to see if you love them, to practice things to see if the passion's really there. And so this is in your house of daily routines. And so it is looking for doing something on a daily basis, like journaling every day to see how you like writing every day, or, contacting people about buying your products, so you work on your sales techniques, or maybe creating new products every single day to put on your Etsy store, etc. So this is first take the action, and then you find the passion, and that brings the money. Now, that same theme continues when we look at traditional investments for you, and those are investments done in a traditional manner, like dollar cost averaging, or your own business. That is that Venus conjunct Mars in that 6th house of daily routines. So that is work on your business every single day. Do something to move the needle forward. Even if you have a full-time job and if this is your side business, give it 5 minutes every day, some sort of action, and that's what can really bring money. This is a great opportunity for you to make more money than usual over the next 2 weeks, but it takes some focus action. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, and that would be like a paycheck, the Venus is making a sesquiquadrate with the moon, which is a challenging aspect. Now, the Venus is in your house of work, so it is possible that you're working more hours, that you are doing something that is extraordinary at this time, like you're really working to get a project done, and you will make more money from this, but you're having to put out this huge effort. If you just ask for a raise, the boss is probably going to suggest that you make a huge effort to deserve it, or so that they can present you to their boss to get this more money. So you may want to wait until this aspect is a little easier, because this is a really difficult aspect. But it is still an aspect. So we do see more money for the next 2 weeks for you from your job. However, you're having to put out extraordinary amount of energy to get it. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or things that are highly leveraged or time sensitive, Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn this time, and so therefore you're not seeing the profits or moving forward on this as easily. That means that the money that is out here in the world is not getting to your bank account. It can't find your bank account. And so everything here is very focused on you working harder. Now, the Venus is approaching that conjunction. So I think the next time we talk, we are going to be talking about how that money is available to you. So as we go through the 2 weeks, you're going to get closer and closer. And so I think that that aspect is really excellent for you. But right now, because this is a risky investment, do be careful going in, because right out of the gate, there's not going to be the good news that you're hoping for. But as things go forward, then the energies will line up. Okay, Libra, you guys are doing this Virgo full moon in that house of your shadow self, your hidden insecurities, your psychic ability, your intuition. It's also that this moon is rising in your chart, which makes it extremely visible to everyone except for you. And it's doing a trine to Pluto. So the increase in sensitivities that everyone is feeling is times 10 for you. That means that you are hypersensitive to what other people are thinking about you, negative comments, hopefully positive comments too, because, sensitivity is supposed to work both ways, but somehow we always notice the negative ones. So this is where you are feeling a little bit vulnerable, but also there's a part of you that feels quite empowered. So you might be looking at your inner strength, the strength that people don't know about, and feeling a boost about that. You might be feeling incredibly focused about being disciplined about your daily routine, or very, very focused on creating projects that you're working on behind the scenes. That would be creative projects. But this can also cause you to be extremely focused on ways of escaping, and that is escaping through, watching videos, doing video games, or through any sort of addictive substance. Having trouble with words today. So this is the energy of feeling like out in the world, it's overwhelming, and so where can I retreat to? On the other hand, if you retreat and find that you are a person who tries every day, you've been working hard, that you have lots inside of you to say, I am worthy, then you're going to be able to use this to propel yourself forward. So be kind to yourself, be compassionate with yourself. Notice how much you have grown and changed over the years, and use that as rocket fuel for moving forward. So when it comes to that Venus and Mars making the square to Uranus, think of this as like a lever, where Uranus is the handle that you move, and then the results happen over in the Venus and Mars area. So the Uranus sitting in your 8th house says that you need to shift your ideas of what is safety, what is protection, are you safe now, or do you feel truly vulnerable out there in the world? And if it's so, is that a real true statement? And when you make that change, when you say to yourself, I am actually okay, I am protected, what shifts in your life is your ability to create something. That's where this lever and results happen, is you shift your idea of what safety is, and suddenly you think, oh, you know what? I can do a YouTube channel. I can sing in public. I can show my art to the world, or I can start a business. I can do things. I can take risks. So that's what this is about, is making a shift there, though what feels like a different area, and the results pop up in your area of creativity. And by the way, also romance. So if you shift your idea of self-protection, you may find new love coming to you, embracing you, wanting to take you away. And speaking of new love, of course, your house of new love has Mars, Venus, Saturn. So that's really excellent. Venus is making a square to Uranus. So that is that sudden excitement that you find somebody and the Mars is involved. I mean, it's all that aspect that I was just talking about. And this is that new love can find you, that you can just step out the door, basically, reach out to someone, and they show up, and they may be so passionately involved with you. They may say to you, you're the most wonderful person. I've been looking for you. So this is a time to take a chance. This also says that don't just go for your type, because the Uranus is involved. It says branch out. If somebody's interested in going out with you, try it for at least one date. Meet them for coffee. Do a Zoom coffee date if you feel like that would make you more comfortable. But by shifting your ideas about something, you may open up an opportunity that you didn't have before. Now, when it comes to love relationships that are established, Venus is making a conjunction to Mars, and it is in your house of adventure and pleasure. So this is very good news for you. You can be closer with your sweetheart at this time. Now, I will say that Venus and Mars, they're pulling apart. That's a little tenuous right now. So you're going to have to make a little bit of an effort to pull yourselves together, and that might be to just get down and sync your schedules so that you have the time to see each other, maybe send the kids off to the babysitter or something like that, so that you have some quality time. But or do something that's a little bit different, so you pique the interest, like go to a new restaurant, try new food, go do a new activity, something you haven't done in a while, like, I don't know, miniature golf in the snow or something. So like do something a little different, and that will bring the excitement and pull the two of you together. Now, when it comes to home and family, Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn, and there's only Pluto in that house, which is receiving that trine from the full moon. So there is some energy, but somehow it seems like it's like either you're not home or they're not home. So it's possible that you're doing some renovations at the home, so it feels a little disrupted. And for some reason, the contractor's not showing up or the materials aren't there yet. So that's that lack of an aspect. So things are a little disconnected, or not coming together quite in this 2 weeks, unless you make quite a lot of effort. And still, even when you do, it's not that easy to bring things together. So it's better just to be patient at this time. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money both from that Pluto in the 4th house, as well as that Mars that's now in the 5th house, and is chasing down that Venus. Now, that's the interesting part of this, because oftentimes people say to me, I want to go find something that I love to do, because I know that I will do it a lot and I'll be able to make money. And that is really true. But this is that a lot of times people have it backwards, and it's very much illustrated by this aspect, because this is Mars, then Venus. That means first we do, and then we discover if we like doing it. And so, and it's this odd little thing that happens, is that the more you do something and the better you get it, the more you will love to do it. And that's not true, of course, in all cases. I'm sure there's some things that after a while just get super rote and super boring. But it is the case in a lot of times when you're still growing and you're still getting better at something, it gets more exciting. So this says that money opportunities exist when you branch out, when you are creative, when you are taking some basic risks, not huge risks, but basic risks of stepping outside your comfort zone. And then you're going to discover whether you love that thing or not, whether you love that activity, whether you love that process. So this ultimately says you have some good money opportunities, but you may not know if you like to do the thing until you've tried it. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or investments done in a traditional way, like buy and hold is traditional, or like your own business or a family business, Venus is not making an aspect to Pluto. However, Venus is still making that aspect with Mars. So there is an opportunity to bring in more profits over the next 2 weeks. It does say because that Venus is making that square to Uranus, you need to change things up in some way. So that might mean looking at your marketing and seeing if that's a good way to go, looking at your investments, and what Susie Orman would say is if you weren't willing to rebuy that investment today, then maybe you shouldn't be holding it, to test your investments that way. Of course, that's really opposite to a buy and hold strategy, but it falls under a traditional investment to assess your investments and look at it prudently rather than just reacting to gyrations in the market or doing any sort of swing trading or day trading. That's definitely not under a traditional investment. So this might be that you are reviewing your 401k or your IRA plan and seeing if it has the right basket of stocks, or perhaps you are looking at different index funds and shifting from something that is, more bearish or bullish, etc. If you are doing, by the way, though, those leveraged ETFs, that's going to fall in under your risky investments because it is leveraged. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, you have some good energy because the sun's making a sextile to Pluto. So there is a big opportunity for you to get more money through your job. Now, the sun is in your house of work, so it's possible that you're just working more hours, but you could ask your boss or, start to find out how you can make more money because it is quite possible. A sextile means you need to take the action, you need to initiate, they're not going to come to you. And so that's the little hurdle that you have to do. Okay, when it comes to, if you wonder why I'm laughing when I start, it's because I just made a mistake. So when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or they're highly leveraged or time sensitive, while Pluto is not making an aspect to Uranus, the co-ruler Mars is. And you're going to ask me what that aspect is, and I have to check. Oh, of course, it's a square, duh. So Mars is making a square to Uranus. So there is a very strong activity in this chart. The Uranus is in a money house, the Mars is in a money house. So this is probably one of the best aspects. Well, I shouldn't say the best, because it would be lovely if it was a trine. But a square is still highly active, and so you have an opportunity to make more money through risky investments. Now, please, 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 it's a square to Uranus, which means that it can, change in a drop of a hat. So only with risky investments, only invest money that you can afford to lose, because your timing has to be quite good on this. And also, if you have not done your research, if you're just flying by the seat of your pants, things could go really wrong. So be careful. But I will say that there is an aspect, so the money that's out here has a chance to come to your accounts. So do be careful, but this is one of the best aspects I've seen for you in a while. So there you go. Okay, Scorpio, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of community. It's friendships as well as the future and technology, and it's making that trine to Pluto in your house of communication. And so there is a direct connection between how you're communicating and what you're saying you want and the future that you're manifesting and the community that is coming to support you. And so this is to watch what you're saying, not just to the world, but to yourself. Because the story that you're telling yourself is then translated by the universe into what you find. And so if you say, friendships are really hard and it's hard to meet someone and I'm never going to meet anybody, then the universe goes out of their way to make that happen. Versus if you say, I could meet somebody at the grocery store. I could meet someone at the post office. I could reach out to the people I have lost touch with over the last few years and make connections again. And then the universe goes out of their way to make this happen. So that's the energy. It's a trine. It's very good energy. So you have lots of opportunities for taking what you're thinking about, what you're dreaming about, your vision, and manifesting that. Now, when we look at that Mars conjunct Venus square Uranus, think of it like a lever where you change something, and that's the Uranus side, and then the results that happen are the Mars Venus. And so as you're shifting this Uranus, you're shifting relationships. So that is looking at the people you hang out with and saying to yourself, you know what they say, the 5 people that you hang out with the most is who you become. And so looking at that, or looking at meeting new people and connecting with new people, actually then shifts the very foundation of what you're doing in your life, because it's right at the base of your chart. And that means that everything can be built on it from there. So that is, if you wanted to start a business, you can then reach out, direct message different business owners and ask for some advice or help with what you're doing. You can connect and collaborate with people and, again, build on that foundation. But what it also reminds you is that you have things to offer. You have the stuff that you can do for others, that then they will do stuff for you, and relationships really form. So that's, sometimes, Scorpio, you guys have so many resources and so many opportunities, but you so don't want to have any strings attached. You want to try to remain free. And sometimes you need to look at that and say, you know what, there are going to be strings attached, and that's okay, because you can handle it. If somebody asks you to do something to return a favor and you don't want to do, you can just say no. Ask me another favor. I'm not going to do that one. So now, I should mention that this Venus and Mars is also in your house of home and family. So that means that shifting something out with others can affect home and family. And so that might mean finding a new place to live, getting a new roommate, maybe doing rental properties, or maybe connecting with someone where some new living arrangement opens up for you. Now, when it comes to relationships, especially new love, the house is just filled with planets, and that is Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune, Sun, plus Jupiter is making a conjunction to Neptune, and that conjunction is getting tighter and tighter. And so this is an extraordinary time. If you are looking for a new relationship, you have to get out there. Allow others to fix you up. Go on online dating sites. Connect with as many people as possible, because you have one of the best chances you've had in a long time for meeting someone. Now, I will say that this energy does extend for quite a while, because we know that conjunction doesn't happen until April 12th. And then you'll still have a little energy while it's separating. So you probably have, at least 6 weeks of this energy. But knowing that, don't wait till the last minute. Do this energy now, because it's growing, it's getting stronger. And that is, tell the universe the type of person you want to meet. Let the universe know how you would expect to meet them. A lot of my clients, when they're looking for love, visualize themselves in the relationship. And while that's helpful, what's truly helpful is visualizing how you meet the person. And because oftentimes, people will say to me, I just don't know how I'm going to meet somebody. I never go out. I don't even open the door for UPS. So this is visualize how you could meet the person, how you would feel comfortable exchanging phone numbers or making a date. And then the universe can provide the circumstances where that happens. When it comes to existing love relationships, Pluto is not making an aspect to Venus. And so therefore, there is a little bit of hit and miss going on. That means that your timing's off, you're just not coming together like you normally would. And so it's possible that you're very busy on creative projects or work projects. You might be traveling, or they're traveling. So there's a little bit of a disconnect. Now, you do have some really great energy in the area of home and family, which we'll talk about in a second. So I think that if you live together, it's going to be better than if you're just dating or if you live in separate houses. So if that's the case, you're going to have to be more patient with each other this time. But if you live together, you have an advantage. And so, as I was just hinting, you have a nice house for home and family. Even though there's not an aspect going on between Pluto and Uranus, the Mars is there, the Venus is there, and Saturn is there. And so there is this opportunity to come together as a family to connect. Now, that Venus-Mars, as I told you, they're kind of separating. So, but the Venus is getting closer to the Saturn, and so is the Mars. And so even though there's a separation, there will be a coming together again. And this is, maybe not everybody is agreeing right now, or they're starting to disagree a little bit. Then they're going to start to agree again, and you can solidify on a course of action. When it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Jupiter, which is sitting in a money house. Well, I call it a money house. It is that house of creativity and risk-taking and pleasure and adventure. And so there is a money component to it. Plus, it is making some great aspects with that conjunction to Mercury and the conjunction to Neptune. So it's sitting really close to very compatible energies. And what this means is that you need to look, right and left and see who's around you. You have people who are willing to help you. And that is just state what it is you want, and somebody's going to step up and offer you something. Now, it may not be exactly what you're looking for. There may be some adjustments that you need to have happen. The Jupiter's in Pisces, so perhaps in the offer is a little, like wibbly wobbly kind of, it's not a direct offer like, I will show up on Tuesday at 5 o'clock and help you with your taxes. It more be like, yeah, I know a guy who could help you. And so don't read that as a no, or that they don't want to help. That is the energy that is more Piscean, which is still, it's still water, and you're a water sign. So you do understand this energy, but it may be that you have to pull a little bit at that offer to get the exact help you need. But you do have some big money opportunities at this time. So you do want to see who's around you and talk to them about your goals. Now, when it comes to traditional investments, and these are the types of investments where you might do a buy and hold or dollar cost averaging or your own business, Mercury is making a conjunction to that Jupiter, and it's closing in, getting tighter and tighter. Excellent energy. And so this does say, because they're in your house of risky investments, maybe you're having to step out of your comfort zone a smidge, but this is not just a license to go do risky investments. It just says that maybe if you've been doing index funds, maybe you are doing index funds that are for a specific category instead of the entire bucket of stocks like the S&P 500, or you are doing maybe just the technology stocks or something like that. So it's just a tiny little taking of a risk. Now, if it's your own business, that might mean that you have to get more verbal or put out more marketing materials. Maybe not so much you actually paying for marketing, but instead putting your own creativity out there with your own memes or your own videos so that you can expand your business that way. Yeah, having a lot of trouble speaking today. Now, when it comes to money from your career, you are doing that same aspect in that house of taking a risk. So that means go and talk to the boss. This is one of the best energies that you have had in a while. It is getting closer to, and so that is over the 2-week period. It gets stronger and stronger. It's almost like they've been wanting to give you this money, and it is even possible with this aspect that they come to you and say, we're going to give you a raise, we're going to give you more hours, or we're going to give you some sort of benefits. But you can help spur that along by just saying, hey, do you want to meet to talk about my future? And then you'll find that the door opens. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or they're highly leveraged or time sensitive, Jupiter is making a conjunction to Neptune. And this energy will continue for several weeks beyond what we normally do in a scope of one of these videos. So you have lots of opportunities. Now, of course, it's a risky investment. Please, please, please be careful, because energy and a risky investment is inherently risky. So, but this is some of the best energy we've seen in a while. So if this is something where you have worked really hard on a project, and so now you're submitting query letters to see if you can get a publisher, or you are sending your songs off to a recording label, this is a great time to do it. If you are doing something that is more in the investing realm, there is still good energy, but you should know what you're doing. You know, Jupiter is involved, and that does say that you should have the knowledge, the understanding of what you're doing. Don't just go on feel, as all of this Pisces energy would suggest that you want to. So do be careful in that way. When it comes to risky investments, do not risk anything you can't afford to lose. That is what a risky investment is. You know, if you're going to roll the dice, you know, don't bet the rent money, you know. So if you saved $5 on a coupon, you know, and so you don't need that $5, then this is a good time to roll those dice. Okay, Sagittarius, this full moon is in your house of career. It's elevated in your chart, and so it makes you easy to see. It makes you noticeable in the world. And so basically, people can see what you're doing, and that is on a detailed, you know, very precise level. So it's possible this means that you are doing something in public, like you are speaking in public, or you are launching your videos, or I don't know, you're on the gymnastics team, and so people are seeing you. Now, this moon is making a trine to Pluto in your house of money. So what you're doing out in the world directly affects your money. And so you have more money opportunities if you put yourself out there. And sometimes it is just a matter of, you know, saying, you know, I did this report, you know, I'm leading this team, like reminding supervisors or people in charge that you are taking action. And some of this is just telling friends and family that you're launching a business, that you're doing something, you know, with your music or your art out in the world. So this trine is very helpful. Now, it can make you quite obsessed on the metrics of things, and you do have to be a little bit careful of that. So maybe you're launching a video and this video didn't get as many views as the last video, and so you're feeling depressed about that. Don't use the energy this way. Instead, just, you know, go on to the next creative project or the next thing you can put out into the world. So that's the only risk, because it's a trine energy. It can easily happen that you start to criticize yourself or doubt yourself because of some external thing that's happening, and that would be usually some sort of metrics. So look at how much you've grown, you know, how videos that you do are improving, or how your voice is getting better, or how your resume is getting longer. You know, look at the things that you're doing and really focus on the improvement, because then that just helps you improve more. Now, when it comes to the Mars-Venus making a square to Uranus, kind of think of this as like a lever that you pull on it or push on one side, and it affects something over here. And so the lever is the Uranus, that's where we're making the change, and then the effect is that Mars-Venus in your house of thinking process and communication. So the Uranus is in your house of daily routines and health and well-being. So as you make changes to your daily routine for your health, suddenly you're thinking clearer, you are better able to analyze situations, to communicate better, you think better about yourself. So everything shifts because you made maybe a change, like you gave up sugar or processed foods, or, you know, gave up drinking or something like that, or maybe you're daily exercising, and suddenly you are thinking better, and you are thinking, you know, in a more positive way. Your thinking is clearer. You're able to analyze what you need to analyze. So that's this lever that you can use this time. Now, when it comes to new love, Mars is not making an aspect to Jupiter, and so while you are communicating better, we're not seeing a lot of activity in this house, and so it's right now, it is more about you looking at how your thinking process affects you, how you are working on your foundation. You know, like, do you have a solid foundation? And that would mean, you know, like, are you doing the things that take care of the home? Do you take care of your finances? You know, do you do some sort of devotional or spiritual work every day? That would be that solid foundation. And then, you know, looking at how you're putting yourself out into the world. And so doing those sort of things are the focus, and not necessarily meeting somebody new at this time. And so just wait, because this energy will line up in the future. It's just not lining up right now. Now, on the other hand, existing love relationships look like they're going quite well because Jupiter is making a conjunction to Mercury. Forgot my planet there. And they are together in your house of home and family. So if you're in a dating sort of relationship, you might be talking about living together. And if you're already living together, then you might be talking about things to make the home and family better. Now, it's interesting because the way this aspect is working is the other person is coming towards you. So they're getting closer to you. And so you're pursued. But this is somebody you know. This is not a new person. And so maybe you are getting engaged, or as I said before, maybe you're deciding to live together. So I like this energy for you very much. And then when it comes to home and family, you have a lovely fourth house, and that is Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune, and Sun. Plus, the Jupiter is moving to conjunct the Neptune. So you have a potential of more harmony, more joy, and more of what you want in home and family. So if you're looking for a new home, you can find it. If you are looking to buy a home, you can get one. Yes, it's probably still going to be an outrageous price, but not as outrageous as it could be. So if there are some problems to solve at home, with this much Pisces, maybe there's some issues around water that can be solved. So everybody comes together, and it looks like you are working together to solve problems, and you're even getting help from the outside. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Saturn in your house of communication. And we haven't talked too much about Saturn in this talk because Saturn is not doing many aspects. Now, it is moving to make a square to the North Node, South Node, and that's a pretty significant aspect. It only does that around, I'm going to guess, but it's more than 14 years that it takes to do this. So now in that 14-year process, it may go back and forth. And so within a year, it might do it 3 times, but then it will take another at least, and again, my math is off here. It's more than 14 years before it does it again. Now, what this means is there is an opportunity that is coming, and this is actually coming in mid-April, although you'll feel it on approach. Probably you might feel a little bit of this at the end of this 2 weeks, and then certainly as we get into fully into April. But this is, you are coming to a point of decision, and the decision is about either staying with something that is safe and comfortable or moving forward into some new territory. And so you may already be feeling this, if you are very spiritually aware, you could be going through this already, trying to make this decision. So, and this is going to take probably some research. And so give yourself the time to really think this through. That's why the Saturn is going through your house of thinking process, so you can think about it. So look at that question, ask yourself quality questions about the bigger question, and you will get some answers from the universe. Now, when it comes to money from traditional investments, that would be like a buy and hold or dollar cost averaging or your own business, the moon is making an inconjunct to Saturn, which means that you can make more money when you do stuff you don't like to do. So that might be that you're doing more paperwork at this time, where you're having to make sales calls, where you're having to do collections, or you're having to read prospectuses, about how the health of the different investments are that you are looking at, or to really understand the investments that you're doing. I mean, you can look at investing in crypto and make it a traditional investment by doing a buy and hold, but it would be good to know the basis of what that currency is, why people would invest in it, and is it sound, etc. And that takes investigation. So by doing the parts that are less comfortable, by jumping over those hurdles, then you get success. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn, but it will. So that is, the Venus is moving forward and will conjunct that Saturn. So it's not right now, but as we get towards maybe the middle or even end of this 2-week period, and certainly as we go forward, you're going to feel a time where there is an opportunity to talk to your supervisor about getting a raise. But more importantly, as this Venus does approach, you might be approached by the supervisor to say, let's talk about your future. And so there is a big opportunity for more hours or more money, or to negotiate more money when you are getting a new job. Okay, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or are highly leveraged or time sensitive, Mars is not making an aspect with Saturn, but Mars will. Mars moves more slowly than the Venus that we were just talking about, but it will make a conjunction to that Saturn. And so it's not quite time yet, but you can see it. You can see it on the horizon. It's like the boat is out there. It's heading towards you, but boats take a long time to get to dock. And so it is that you see it coming. And so this is a time to prepare for welcoming this opportunity. That is, to do the research on the franchise, or to do the due diligence before buying the business, or looking at, what is the underlying reasons for this alt currency. Most alt currencies, by the way, would fall under risky investments because, they're not really a money yet. They're just more like a software company that has taken some aspect of money and made a money about it, versus, say, Bitcoin, which it has a little bit more of a chance of being the real currency at some point, and could be a traditional investment if you're doing a buy and hold or dollar cost averaging. I know I'm digressing back up into your traditional investments, but I did want to point out that with this aspect that is forming, but not quite there yet, it says it's not quite yet time to take profits or jump into something, but you will get a signal to do that pretty soon, so keep your eyes open. Okay, Capricorn, you guys are doing this full moon right at the top of your chart in the 9th house, conjunct your midheaven, and it's making that trine to Pluto. So this is a position where you are extremely noticeable. People are seeing you. That means if you send out your resume, it rises to the top. If you're sending out applications for school, those are hitting the top of the pile. It means that videos that you put out, podcasts, whatever you put out into social media is going to be seen more often. And it's interesting because it's all focused on that Pluto, which is you. It's in your first house. And so this is how you're presenting yourself to the world. And so you might feel quite obsessed about how you are doing that, how you are focusing, and who is, paying attention to you. And so it might be a time for you to focus on, this is a time for you to focus on what you can control, what is in your power, and to let go of the things that are outside of your control. So that would be controlling the quality of what you're putting out rather than looking at the metrics or the analytics of what is coming back to you. So this is where you are looking to transform who you are to improve things. So this is raising your standards, not necessarily, and I want to say very clearly, not by beating yourself up, not by berating yourself, but raising your standards because you believe in yourself. That is what this trine is for. So when we are looking at the Venus conjunct Mars, making a square to Uranus, one side of that is the handle and the other creates the change. And so what you want to do is you want to make a shift in one area of your life, and then what happens is the results come in another area. So the Uranus is where you have the handle, where you're making the shift. That is in your area of risk tolerance, what brings you pleasure, what brings you excitement. And so moving towards things that are more exciting in your life, that give you more energy, and looking at why you have set your risk tolerances for where they are. A lot of times setting risk tolerance for investments, very, very wise idea, but then we can think of risk tolerance being set for whether we speak in public or not, whether we introduce ourselves to new people. And that is a more low risk engagement, but sometimes we can think that they are quite high risk, and we need to think that through. But what happens when you move that lever is the results are that Venus Mars, and it absolutely changes your financial picture. So that's where you are making a change and looking at where you can create something, where you can take risks, and that is going to change your finances. And so you, of course, changing for the positive because you are now exploring what excites you, what interests you, and moving towards that. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is not making an aspect to Saturn. However, that Uranus square Venus is happening related to those houses. And so that is it. You could meet someone, but the timing's a little bit off. And that might mean that, they're interested, but they're super busy, so they can't get together with you, or your schedule's not allowing for it, or you're in different locations. So something is not occurring, although serendipity, some sort of synchronicity can happen to put the two of you together, but I don't know that it's really the time for a first date. I think that you would be better off just texting, talking on the phone, but not actually meeting in person until outside this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to existing relationships, the moon is making an aspect to Saturn, but it is an inconjunct, and that means that some adjustments need to happen. So when we look at it, what we're seeing is some difficulties between the two of you. Remember that Venus, Mars are also pulling apart, and they are the classic planets for love relationships, and so they're stretching thinner and thinner. So it's possible that you guys have been working on something that's very difficult, and you're starting maybe to feel a little bit of resentment or irritation with each other, and now's the time to make an adjustment so that you get past that, so you can get back to a close relationship. And because this is your chart, it's up to you to make the adjustment. When it comes to home and family, Mars is not making an aspect to Saturn, and so most of your energy is elsewhere. In fact, you have a big concentration in the area of money, communication, and of course that elevated moon. So I think most of your interest is just out in the world, or things are going okay at home, and so you don't have to do a lot of energy in that area, or this is the fact that you are moving, and so there's so much change going on that you're not feeling entirely in one place or another. So this is an area that doesn't have a very strong interest for, or very strong energy for staying at home and just, sitting on the sofa and doing nothing. This is a chart of being out in the world. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Uranus, which is very, very active in this chart, and that Saturn in your house of money. And so there is some really big money opportunities that are happening. Now, that Venus, Mars are on approach, and so you might know what these opportunities are already. You can see them on the horizon, and you're moving towards them as they are moving towards you. And these could be related to your own business, investments, or some sort of job. So you want to be very alert for these because they are on their way. Now, it is possible that you could get some help on these, people actually pointing them out to you. But I feel like this is going to be more self-driven, that you know what you want, and so it's just time to go after it. So when it comes to traditional investments, or investments done in a traditional way, or money from your own business or a family business, the Sun is making a semi-square to Uranus. Now, a semi-square is an aspect that has a lot of friction associated with it. That means that it's hard. It's like this idea of, maybe when you go working out is fine, but it's just getting in the car and getting there. There's so many obstacles or blocks, and that's kind of what this is. Actually, even when I was starting to do this video, I was kind of experiencing that semi-square when, the computer wasn't working right. I had to reboot, and the lights weren't working right, and they weren't positioned right. Like, it's obstacle after obstacle, and it's almost like the universe is challenging you to say, do you really want this? Are you really meaning to go this direction? So while you're feeling this friction, don't think of it as the universe trying to dissuade you from what you're doing, but just normal everyday issues that happen. And it's not a sign so much as just part of life, that if you are taking a hard road, which everybody in business, or actually anybody trying to grow their money is, there are going to be rocks in the road. There's going to be detours. There's going to be some hard spots. And so over the next 2 weeks, you have great opportunities to make more money if you take the harder road. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, even though Pluto is not making an aspect to Uranus, the co-ruler Mars it's making a square. And so with that square from Mars, which, by the way, Mars is in your house of money, you do have this big opportunity to get more money through some sort of regular job. So that is that if you will initiate it, and that is, it may actually take some sort of combative action, maybe because your boss is really busy and doesn't want to do the meeting, or maybe you have to demand that your boss talk to his or her boss about, what your status is in the company. Maybe this is even that you are receiving a hard no from your boss, and this is your sign that you need to go do something else, that you can make more money elsewhere. So the squares are very combative, and for some people that's not what you want to do, because you like to live a more peaceful life. And so in that case, then perhaps you do want to just utilize this energy in some other area. However, I'd like to say that when a square presents itself, it is time to state what it is that you want and see what kind of pushback you get, because you may find that your supervisor is your ally, who is saying, I've been trying to get you a raise, let's fight on this together, get me this paperwork to prove that you've done all this job, or something, some sort of collaboration where then this person can go to their higher ups and get you what you deserve. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or they're highly leveraged or time sensitive, you do have some very good energy. And so I, of course, have to give you my little caution, because I believe in prudent investing. And so, but so many people ask me about high risk investing that I included in these videos. But when you're doing high risk investing, make sure that you're only using money that you can afford to lose, and then also stick to your plan. And that is, don't allow just the whims of everybody's emotion to change your mind. If you have decided that you are doing a buy and hold, then just hold. But I'm digressing here. So Venus is making a square to Uranus. Now, Venus is in a money house, Uranus is in a money house, and so we have this exchange of the rulers, and so this means that money can come to you. Now, the best types of risky investments are ones where you have really put a lot of sweat equity in, and now you are launching, and this is a perfect time to launch your album, your channel, to upload your novel. This is great energy, especially with that moon elevated in your chart, to get a lot of attention. So for the next 2 weeks, you do have a window of opportunity where what you put out in the world could be seen by more people, even go viral. So that's what I'm seeing for you for risky endeavors. Okay, Aquarius, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of resources from others and also intimacy. It is making a trine to that Pluto that is rising in your chart. And so that means that the Pluto is extremely prominent. And so there is a lot of energy around you taking back your power, about you really realizing what is in your control and what's outside of your control, and realizing what you need to let go of. What you have been hoping to have happen, but you see that now that is no longer going to be viable, and it's time to release that and move on to something else. Now, this moon in your house of resources says that there is some opportunities, and you might be hyper focused on those right now. That might be getting loans or refinancing your house or receiving help from someone else, maybe through some sort of shared income or crowdfunding or something in that sort of nature. It is also in your house of intimacy, and so that might be being very focused on an intimate relationship and where that is going. And so with that Pluto, you want to make sure that you are looking at these things in a very objective standpoint, and that is, if there's a balance that a person needs between that hope for the best outcome possible and then the realistic view of what is probable, and to find something that is within that range. And so that's the energy that you're looking at. Or remember, this Pluto being in your 12th house maybe feels like it's not as accessible, but it's right there, very, very close to that Aquarius line. And so that does mean that you have more access to this power than you might have realized. Now, when it comes to the Venus-Mars conjunction, making a square to Uranus, one side of that is kind of the lever that you make some changes and then you get the results in the other. So the lever is sitting in the area of personal environment, and then of course, Venus and Mars are in your own sign, so that would represent your physical self. And so what this is saying is change something about your physical environment and you change how you are in the world. And so that might be your constitution, your energy levels, how you're presenting yourself, how you appear to others. And so by changing your physical environment, we're basically talking about feng shui. We're talking about having an environment that you live or work in that supports your goals. And so that could be anything from cleaning junk food out of the kitchen to covering up the TV so that you can get more work done, or setting up your home office so it's really comfortable for you and really inviting, that so it gets you there. And how that then translates is then you feel more good about yourself because you're eating better, you're not so distracted, and you're getting more work done. And so you are heading towards your goals, and then this increases your confidence, and then your confidence in both with yourself but also engaging with others. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making a sextile to Uranus. That's a very nice aspect for attracting somebody into your life. So you also have a very strong first house with the Mars, Venus, and Saturn there. So your magnetism and your charisma are quite high. So this is a good time to go out and meet someone. Now, this is a sextile. That means you need to initiate the action. So you need to start the conversation. You need to reach out to someone. But you could get very good results when you do. When it comes to existing love relationships, the Sun's making a semi-square to Uranus, and that means there is some friction happening between the two of you. Plus, the Venus and Mars are starting to separate, and so this means that you need to do some action to come back together to find some common ground. So it's possible that you're just getting busy and you're going off in different directions, and sometimes that can be good because then when you come back together, you can say, well, how was your day? How was your day? But it's not good if one or both of you are feeling disrespected or taken advantage of. So that's where you want to see if some sort of bridge can be built, or hurt feelings can be mended. Just coming together, having conversation, that's the place to start. Now, when it comes to home and family, we have a lot of activity because Venus is square Uranus. That means that there's something important going on in the home. And that could mean anything from you're moving, or you're just settling in from a move and trying to get unpacked and get like find the pair of scissors that you don't know where you put them. Or it is possible that someone is moving into the house or moving out of the house. So there's a lot of change going on. It is also possible maybe kids are temporarily home from school, and so then you are working with them, like taking trips or but it's very family oriented, or there's a lot of energy happening in the house itself. So that could be that there is a sudden need for some repairs. And because this is Uranus or Taurus, this would be something that is either electrical or structural. And that can be something like maybe you're building a wall, maybe you're fixing some sort of, holes, or, like replacing a door or something more like that versus a plumbing issue. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Neptune as well as that co-ruler Jupiter that is moving to conjunct Neptune. So you're actually in a very strong time for finances. Now, what is important with this is to access that spiritual side. And the first step of that is to make sure that you feel having money is in line with your spiritual goals. If you have this idea that having money leads to, bad behavior or negative energy or making you feel more vulnerable, it's very hard to attract money. So putting yourself into a place where you feel that having money and being spiritual are aligned really help. And then once you do that, then using some spiritual means to bring money into your life is getting stronger and stronger for you. And that is basically between now and all the way through April is where you're going to be doing this energy. That is through, writing and journaling and prayer and meditation and visualization and doing a goal board and all of those different techniques that people talk about. They all work. And you don't necessarily have to do all of them, but you could. You could take 2 minutes every morning and do a meditation, and then 2 minutes for visualization, and then 2 minutes for affirmations, and ultimately build like 15 to 30 minutes of just really focused on changing yourself on an internal basis, which would open up so many money opportunities. And let me tell you, this does work. I know that sometimes we start these things and then we fall by the wayside, especially Aquarius, because your energy is to constantly be exploring for something new, and so it can be hard sometimes to stick with something, time and time again. But that's what the Virgo moon is for. So this is a time to be working on this now, of establishing some new habits where you are combining the spiritual with your financial goals. Now, when it comes to money from traditional investments or your own business, you have an extremely strong money house, but there is no connection right now between Mercury and Neptune. Now, that is going to change because Mercury moves very quickly and is heading for the conjunction. So right now, it's not looking like the money is coming into your account. What's probable is that somebody's promising you the money and they have not sent you the check yet, or you keep checking your accounts, it's not there yet. It looks like it's coming soon. It may be outside the 2-week period, but it is on its way. When it comes to money derived from career, you are gaining ground in one of your strongest aspects that you've had in years. And so you can start to talk to your supervisor about getting more money, or start negotiating with another company, that you want to work for. This Jupiter is moving closer and closer to the conjunction to Neptune, and that's what you're going to need. This is not exactly conjunct until April 12th, but you're on approach. So this is a good time to do it, or you could wait a couple of weeks and do it then. So, but you're in that window now. So this is not an opportunity you want to miss. If you think you cannot get more money where you are, that's a sign you should be working somewhere else. Or if you feel like, you just don't want to do all the things it would take to get more money where you are, you definitely should be working somewhere else. So it's time to be looking maybe more at vocation rather than money. And finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, like writing a novel or buying a franchise, or things that are highly leveraged or time sensitive, like options, Mercury is not quite yet in orb of that conjunction to Neptune. So again, there's this feeling like it's coming. You can see it on the horizon, but it's not quite reaching your accounts yet. So that is, try to bide your time, wait things out, see how the things are going to be, in a week from now, 2 weeks from now, and beyond, because you are approaching some very positive energy. Now, of course, and I must say this every time, if you're doing risky investments, especially things like alt currencies and all that, those are kind of like a lottery ticket, so treat it as such. That means you don't use your rent money to buy lottery tickets, and you shouldn't in this case either. And so use money that you can afford to lose if you're doing this type of investing. If not, do traditional investing, and that would be something where either the investment itself is more traditional, or it's a buy and hold or a dollar cost averaging situation. So really look at this before you jump into something that is, like really, really risky. Make sure it's money that you can afford to lose. But otherwise, the energy is looking better and better. Okay, Pisces, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of relationships, and it's making the trine to that Pluto in your house of friendships, community, as well as the future and technology. So what could be happening here is you may be feeling like you're receiving criticism or a lot of negative feedback from other people. And so you might be thinking, well, that's it. I'm not going to see any of these people. I'm just going to walk away. Or you might be very focused on creating more friendships, but you're afraid because of difficult relationships in the past. So, but all of this is to remind you that you have power. This is where you start to use that Pluto and start to co-create with the universe, where you say, these are the types of friends I want. This is the type of relationship I want. And this is what I have to offer. And so, and then you allow the universe to bring you opportunities, because this is a trine. This isn't you going out and banging on doors. This is you talking to the universe and then waiting for what comes. So when it comes to the future, there might be some sort of collaboration that you're waiting to have happen with someone. And this is, you can only plant the seed right now. You can only say, you know, let's talk about doing this and see what happens. And because it's a trine energy, it's pretty hands off. So, and then there is some help that you can get around technology. It is also quite possible that somebody will come to mentor you about a business, or will give you some great advice about finding a great relationship. Now, when it comes to the Mars conjunct Venus square Uranus, the Uranus is the handle which we move to then make a change in that Mars-Venus area. And so Uranus is in your house of thinking, and Mars and Venus are in that house of your shadow self. And so by changing thinking and changing the language that you talk to yourself, then you shift yourself internally and free yourself from past burdens, from negative energy, from holding on to grudges. So this is just about looking at or listening to what you're saying to yourself, and stop this very critical or negative thinking. If you are saying things to yourself that you would not say to another person, that's a sign to stop, because that's, you're not that type of person. You are not a mean person. So why be mean to yourself? It's not motivating. It's not helpful. So you are going to achieve far more in your life if you can treat yourself with kindness and compassion. And that doesn't mean you're automatically letting yourself off the hook, because a person who treats themselves with kindness and compassion is also going to treat their body well. They're going to treat, what they're doing with, okay, you're struggling with this, let's go get some help. So this is a way to free yourself of past burdens, but it starts with how you're communicating with yourself. Now, when it comes to relationships, specifically love relationships, the moon's making an opposition to Neptune. And so that's a very interesting sort of dynamic, because these are in relationship houses. So it looks like somebody could be coming into your life who's kind of a mirror of you. And so if you wanted to date somebody who's very much like you, who has similar interests, who, maybe even there's some sort of kind of visible resemblance, this is a really good time for that. But it also may be that this is like your opposite person, because it is an opposition. And so you might be more of the quiet type and this person is more gregarious, or vice versa. It's also possible that you have a strong interest in arts and they're very science oriented. So I think you're either going to come together in the center and be very, very similar, or you're going to be polar opposites, but opposites do attract. And so that's the energy for this time. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury technically isn't making an aspect to Neptune, but it's on its way to a conjunction, and it's moving very quickly. So I think what's happening is that maybe you were separated, or maybe you were not seeing eye to eye on some things, but now you're starting to come together and understand each other's position and being in each other's shoes. And so I think that you're going to see some improvement in the relationship. Maybe it's not in this 2-week period, maybe it's just outside of that, but things are getting better day by day. When it comes to home and family, we have that similar energy that Mercury is moving closer and closer to that Neptune conjunction. Plus, it's everything seems to be on you because, Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune, and Sun are all in that first house. And so that says you initiate like the get together or like the backyard barbecue if it's warm enough, or maybe get together for a game night. It also might be that you're pulling together resources to, fix the house up or even to buy something new. So again, the energy is not quite all lined up. So this is more like you're just starting to talk about these things. You're starting to come together, or it may be that relatives who are far away are saying that they're going to visit. Their visit may be outside the 2-week period, but they're on their way. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mars in your 12th house that is conjunct the Venus, square the Uranus. So lots and lots of activity there. Now, the interesting thing is that Mars being in your hidden house is where you wake up in the middle of the night and you have a breakthrough, you have an idea, or you're working behind the scenes, you haven't told anybody, and maybe you're building a website or building a business. You're doing something where it's out of the view of others. And so, but something is happening. And it's also possible that because that Mars is going to make that square to Uranus, that you are about to talk about it, about to tell people. So, and that is as you start to tell people, some of the times you'll get support. And of course, some of the times, people will say, well, I'll believe it when I see it. And take that as something to inspire you to move forward or challenge you to move forward instead of a sign from the universe to stop doing it. This is really positive energy for actively pursuing some goals. And so that's the bottom line of what I'm trying to say. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or investments done in a traditional manner, like a buy and hold, or money from your business, the Venus and Mars are still making a conjunction. Now they're like two people holding hands, and they're like just their fingertips are touching, like they're pulling apart. And so that is that there is still some opportunities, but you have to act quickly, probably in the first week of this 2-week period rather than the second week. Additionally, it does say that you might have to do a little bit more because the Venus and Mars are hidden. So maybe you're not sure how to do it and you have to go and meditate on it. Or maybe you're looking for the person who owes you money and you're having a little trouble finding them. So I think that you have to take some action at the beginning of this cycle to really capitalize on this, but there is some opportunities. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, Mars is not making an aspect to Saturn, plus Mars is in your hidden house. And so what it means is that others can't see the contribution that you're making. And sometimes that's beneficial in that you're just working behind the scenes, you're working from home, and you're keeping a low profile because you have other things, other irons in the fire, and that's perfectly fine. So, but it is not the best time to be asking for a raise. And so if that was on your mind, this is a time where you might be assembling your resume or just listing all of the things that you have done, to contribute to your current company, to present to your boss outside this 2-week period. This energy will line up in the future, but right now it's not making a connection. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or things that are highly leveraged or time sensitive, Mars is not making an aspect to the moon. And that is something where, again, every once in a while, you're going to run into this period of time where you're not hitting the aspects. And so this is a time to just work on, the mechanics of what you're doing, to do more research, to do more education, to work on things, but not try to do the big deal or not try to gain some profits. Because that Mars is in your house of meditation and spirituality, is really good to use some spiritual means to give yourself some material success, and that would be through visualization, affirmations, journaling, meditation, prayer. Look at those sort of things to help you get in line with the flow of the energy of money. But right now, you're not showing strong profits, or at least, the profits aren't making their way to your bank account. So right now, you want to be quite cautious in this area. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and stay tuned because LaRue wants to say hi.